You can lie all you want. Annual and quarterly. It's an enormous number. We had just unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how to describe the number, the GDP growth number. Just to put in perspective, the annualized growth rate of GDP in the quarter, we just got this week. The quarter came in at 33.1%. Put that in perspective just for a moment. This is one quarter, and keep in mind, it was after an enormous drop. Again, I'm not going to be like the left and try to confuse you with, verbal jujitsu. I'm going to tell you it was after a massive drop, but we've now recovered a lot of what was lost because of the shutdowns. The average growth rate for the U.S. economy over our entire history is about 3.5% a year. This quarter, we grew at an annualized rate of 33%. Times 11. Do you have any idea how big of a number that is? If the economy were to grow at 7% annually, 7%, so double our average, typically what we do, more than double, but we would double the size of the economy in 10 years. So say the average salary in the United States right now, $50,000, something around there, median family income, $50,000, $60,000. In 10 years, it would be $120,000 in today's money, not in future, in today's money. That would be at 7%. We grew at 33%. 33. If Joe Biden was doing it, 33. That's a huge number. So, of course, the media, Joe, had to figure out a way, because this happened right before the election. God forbid, economic growth numbers, Joe. Election coming up. Joe Biden, the anti-economy guy, high taxes dude. We can't have that out there, that the Trump economy, despite a massive blow from economic lockdowns worldwide, has managed to recover a lot of what not all, there's a lot of work to be done, but a lot of what was lost. They can't have that out there. So they had to find a way to spin it. Now, what's the media spin? I warned you about this months ago. I said what they were going to do is when it benefits them to report a lower growth number. In other words, when it's the economy's growing and it's on Trump, they will report the quarterly number. The quarterly number will be lower. When it benefits them to talk about economic losses and the economy shrinking, they'll report the annualized number. Because the annualized number is going to be bigger. You don't believe me? Check this out. Look at NPR's headline. Watch. You think I'm messing with you? 3 months of hell. This is when the economy dropped. Notice the date of the article. Radical far-left NPR that doesn't want to cover the Bobolinsky story. Because they don't think it's newsworthy. That's hilarious. NPR, July 30th, 2020, in the midst of all the lockdowns. 3 months of hell. U.S. economy drops 32.9% in worst GDP report ever. So notice, when it benefits them in the headline, these lefty media lunatics, they will report the bigger number, the annual number, despite the fact that in that quarter, we only really dropped to 7 to 8%. But they annualize it. You get what I'm saying, Joe? To make the loss look more dramatic. Oh, yep. We lost 32% of the economy. Can you believe it, Joe? A third of our economy wiped out in a jiffy. That Donald Trump is terrible. So now we find out that the economy recovers 33%, basically pretty much all of what we lost in the last quarter, numbers-wise. And notice the flipping of the script, how they switch back now to the quarterly number, which is smaller because it's growth. Check this out in the Washington Post. I told you they were going to. Here we go. It's so predictable. I warned you about it. Democracy dies in the darkness. Washington Post. Headline, U.S. economy grew by a record 7.4% from July to September, but it's complicated. That's interesting because now you're switching back to the quarterly number rather than the annualized number, NPR. Now, to be fair, the Washington Post, in some of its reporting, has reported the annualized number too, which is 33% growth. They have. But what I'm getting at here is you would think there would be a standard, correct? And the proper standard, by the way, is the quarterly number. Annualizing, it's nice for economic wonks, but the quarterly number is more appropriate. The reality is the economy during that 33% annualized drop dropped about 7 to 8% in that quarter, which is a lot. the economy grew back at about 9%, annualized at 33. My point is, be specific, stick to a principle on reporting, and do it. Do you notice how they can't do that? How when the economy grows 33%, the Washington Post had to put in all kinds of caveats. But wait, Joe, wait, it's complicated. But wait, and they use the quarterly number. And then when NPR wants to talk about the loss, they use the annual number to make it look like we lost more than we really did. Folks, listen to me. This is not a mistake. If you've been around newsrooms, as I have my entire time in politics, my entire time in the Secret Service around the press pool, and my entire time in political commentary, it's not a mistake. These are the subtle things that someone said to me in email. It was a nice email, not to get off track, but he said, Dan, sometimes I think your show is a little too high level because you speak to super patriots, not people that I don't agree at all. This is very easy to understand. This is not for super patriots. This is very easy to understand stuff. When the media wants to make Trump's economic losses look terrible, they use a bigger number, the annual number. When they want to make his losses look smaller, then they switch to the quarterly number. Instead of keeping one principle common standard for reporting. This is done on purpose. This is not an accident. If you're going to report annual growth, then just say it. This is the largest annualized growth rate ever, 33%. That's huge. I'm sorry I have to do this here and waste your time. I really am. But you've got to learn to see through this stuff. Because liberals won't. Like, what are you talking about? Trump lost 32% in the last quarter. He only gained 7% now. No, you're using different numbers. Now, some people did report honestly on it, including rabid Trump haters like that tool Joe Scarborough from MSNBC. So Scarborough on MSNBC realizes there's no way, Joe, to downsell this. It's the largest GDP growth annualized in a quarter ever in American history. Anybody can just look at the data. Scarborough's realizing, we may hate Trump, but this is no way. What are we going to do? These are just huge numbers. Here's Joe Scarborough reluctantly, painfully admitting to a stone-faced panel at MSNBC that, hey, whatever Trump did kind of worked so far. Check this out.
Yes, the economy is growing at 7.4%. The number looks great. It's a historic number. It comes on the heels of a lot of pain in the past and some pain to come. But still, bottom lining this for the election that everybody's looking at 5 days from now, Donald Trump's going to be able to run around and saying this last quarter, the economy grew at a record rate, the highest rate ever, period, end of sentence.
It is period, end of sentence. You can't, what are you going to do? Throw your credibility on the funeral pyre? Anyone could just look up quarterly GDP in any internet search engine, and you'll see it's by far the largest number ever. You can lie all you want. Annual and quarterly. It's an enormous number.
You just heard Dan Bongino.